The fluorescent lights of St. Jude's emergency department didn't shine, they hummed. A relentless, buzzing vibration that drilled straight into the back of Nurse Clara's skull. It was 4:45 a.m. on Christmas morning, and the ward was finally mercifully quiet. Clara stared at the digital clock on the wall, tracking the seconds until her grueling 12-hour shift officially ended. Her coat was already draped over the staff room chair, her car keys heavy in her pocket. She could practically taste the hot cinnamon tea waiting for her at home. But just as she reached for her logbook to sign out, the heavy double doors of the ambulance bay were thrown open with a violent crash. Cold December wind rushed into the corridor, carrying with it the frantic, synchronized shouting of paramedics and the high-pitched, terrifying drone of a heart monitor flatlining. Clara's heart sank. Her shift was over, but looking at the blood-stained gurney rushing toward her, she realized her night was just beginning, and the specter of death had no respect for holiday schedules. The choice at dawn. The patient was a young man, barely into his 20s, pulled from a mangled vehicular wreck on the icy highway. His clothes were shredded, his face obscured by a mask of crimson, and his vitals were a chaotic downward spiral. Dr. Vance, the attending physician, who had also been on his feet all night, took one look at the telemetry monitor and shook his head. "Internal bleeding is too severe, and he's been down too long," Dr. Vance muttered, his voice weighed down by exhaustion. "Pupils are fixed and dilated. Let's call it, Clara. There's nothing left to save here." The code team began to step back, unhooking gloves and rubbing their tired eyes. It was a cold, pragmatic calculus that every medical professional understood. You couldn't save everyone. But as Clara stepped forward to clean the patient's face for the morgue, her hand brushed against his cold skin. In that instant, a sensation like an electric jolt shot up her arm. It wasn't a medical reading or a logical deduction. It was a profound, suffocating conviction in her chest. A whisper in her spirit that screamed, "Not yet." "No," Clara said, her voice cutting through the quiet room with sudden authority. "We aren't stopping." "Clara, he's gone," Dr. Vance said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Go home to your family." "One more round," she pleaded, her eyes locking onto the doctor's with fierce determination. "Compressions, another round of epi, please, just 5 more minutes." Reluctantly, moved by the sheer desperation in the veteran nurse's eyes, the team re-engaged. Clara took over compressions herself. With every downward thrust of her hands, her muscles burned, and her mind repeated a silent prayer. "Live. Please, live." 4 minutes passed in agonizing silence, punctuated only by the mechanical rhythm of the chest compressions. Then, on the final desperate push before Dr. Vance called the time of death for the second time, the monitor beeped. A single erratic spike appeared on the screen, then another. A faint, fragile pulse fluttered beneath Clara's fingertips. The ripple effect. The young man, whose wallet later identified him as Julian, spent 3 weeks in a coma before miraculously waking up. By the time he was discharged, Clara had shifted back to her regular rotation on a different floor. She never spoke to him, and he never knew the name of the nurse who had fought the entire room to keep him alive. For Clara, it became a quiet memory, a sacred moment from a blurred Christmas night that she kept tucked away in her heart. 15 years passed. Clara grew older, her hair silvering at the temples, eventually retiring from the high-stress environment of the emergency room to work at a quiet community health clinic. One rainy afternoon, a well-dressed woman entered the clinic, holding the hand of a brilliant, energetic 7-year-old boy. The boy was there for a routine school physical. As Clara checked the child's reflexes and listened to his heartbeat, she struck up a casual conversation with the mother. "He has a strong heart," Clara smiled, tapping the stethoscope. "He gets that from his father," the woman replied with a warm smile. "Though if you ask my husband, he'll tell you his own heart belongs to a ghost." Clara paused, intrigued. "A ghost?" "It's a family legend," the woman explained, her eyes softening. "On Christmas night, 15 years ago, my husband was in a horrific car accident. He was brought to a hospital downtown, completely unresponsive. The doctors gave up on him. They were literally about to call his time of death, but he says a nurse, someone he never got to meet, refused to let him go. She fought for him when nobody else would." Clara's breath hitched. The clinic room suddenly felt incredibly still. My husband was a mess back then, the woman continued, oblivious to Clara's sudden paleness. Losing his way, driving reckless. That night woke him up. Because of that anonymous nurse, he turned his life around. He became a youth counselor. He dedicated his life to pulling kids out of dark places. And because he survived, he met me. We adopted 2 beautiful children who were stuck in the foster system. And then we had this little guy here. She gestured to the boy on the examination table. An entire generation, Clara whispered, her voice trembling. An entire family. Exactly, the woman said, nodding proudly. 5 lives changed, all because one person decided that a stranger was worth 5 more minutes of exhaustion. A silent understanding. Clara looked down at the little boy, who was smiling up at her, completely unaware of the invisible thread connecting his existence to a cold, frantic dawn 15 years prior. She felt a tear slip down her cheek and quickly wiped it away, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Is something wrong, Nurse Clara?" the boy asked innocently. "No, sweetheart," Clara whispered, placing a gentle hand on his head. "Everything is perfectly right." She didn't reveal herself to the mother. She didn't need the credit, nor did she need a formal thank you. As she signed off on the boy's medical chart, Clara looked out the window at the falling rain, realizing that the exhaustion of that long-ago Christmas night had been a cheap price to pay. The whisper in her spirit hadn't just saved a dying boy on a gurney. It had quietly authored a future for people who hadn't even been born yet.